kept forgiving my husband for hiding small things from me. Then I found out our entire marriage was a lie. My husband Gustavo lied about stupid things constantly. He'd say he went to the gym when he went to get coffee. He'd say he ate a salad for lunch when he got a burger. He'd tell me his meeting ran late when he just sat in the parking lot playing on his phone. Nothing that mattered, just weird little lies. When I'd catch him, he'd laugh and say, "I don't know why I do this. I'm an idiot." Then he'd kiss my forehead and I'd let it go because it seemed harmless. The lies got slightly bigger over the years. He'd say his mom called when she didn't. He'd say he paid a bill when he forgot. He'd tell me he was at work when he was at a bar with friends. Every time I confronted him, he had this sheepish smile and would say, "I don't know why I lie about dumb stuff. I think something's wrong with my brain." And I'd forgive him because he seemed genuinely confused about his own behavior. My sister came over for dinner one night and afterwards pulled me aside and said, "Gustavo lied about 3 different things tonight and none of them mattered. That's really weird." I said, "He just gets nervous and makes stuff up. It doesn't mean anything." She said, "It's pathological and you're enabling it." I told her she didn't understand him like I did. He wasn't hurting anyone with his little lies. My best friend was worse about it. She'd point out every inconsistency in his stories and say things like, "He told you he grew up in Colorado, but last month he said he'd never seen mountains until he was an adult. Which one is true?" I said, "He probably just misspoke. People get details confused all the time." She said, "Normal people don't mix up whether they grew up in the mountains or not." I stopped inviting her over because I was tired of defending my husband every single time we hung out. It was exhausting. We'd been married for 8 years, and I'd learned to just accept it as part of who he was. He wasn't malicious, and he never lied about anything that actually mattered to our relationship. When he told me he'd stopped at the store but came home empty-handed, I'd just laugh and say, "Where'd you really go?" And he'd grin and say, "Okay, you got me." I went to look at the new video game releases. It was annoying, but it was also kind of endearing in a weird way. That's just who he was. Last month, I got a call from a hospital in the next state over. The woman on the phone said, "Is this the emergency contact for Gustavo Flores?" I said yes, and she said, "We need him to come sign some end-of-life paperwork for his wife." I felt my stomach drop and said, "I'm his wife." There was a pause, and she said, "I'm sorry, I must have the wrong file. His wife's name is Catherine Flores. She's been a patient here for 3 years with terminal cancer." I couldn't breathe. I said, "What's the address?" I drove 2 hours to that hospital and walked up to the nurse's station and said, "I need to see Catherine Flores' room." The nurse looked uncomfortable and said, "Are you family?" I said, "I'm her husband's wife." The nurse's eyes went wide and she walked me to a room where a woman was sleeping hooked up to machines. I stood there staring at her and a doctor came in and said, "Are you here about the life insurance paperwork? We've been trying to reach Mr. Flores for weeks." I said, "What life insurance?" The doctor said, "Mrs. Flores has a substantial life insurance policy, and we need her husband's signature to begin the process since she's declining rapidly." I sat down because my legs gave out. I said, "How long has she been here?" The doctor said, 3 years. Her husband visits once a month to check on her status. I drove home and Gustavo was sitting on the couch playing video games. He looked up and smiled and said, "Hey babe, how was your day?" I said, "I met your wife Catherine today." His face went completely white. He said, "I can explain." I said, "Explain how you're still married to someone else? Explain how our entire marriage is fake?" He said, "She was dying when I met you. The doctor said she had 6 months. I was going to tell you after she passed and then we'd get married for real." I said, "That was 8 years ago." He said, "I know. She just kept not dying. The life insurance is $1 million and I need that money. Once she dies, we can finally afford the house we wanted." I stared at this man I thought I knew and said, "You've been waiting for your wife to die so you could collect insurance money while pretending to be married to me." He said, "When you say it like that, it sounds bad." Left him and reported him for insurance fraud. He's in jail now. Catherine is still alive.